So for people listening, today we have here Saskia. She's the co-founder of The Biskery, a UK-based brand that makes branded handmade biscuits to help companies and people show appreciation. And one of your clients, for example, are Meta, Google, or Fendi, so big brands as well. And you build it on the idea that kindness can be a real business strategy. So it's very great to talk to you today, Saskia.
Thanks for having me.
So I would say let's kick it off with a question regarding the topic that you chose before we talked. So my kickoff question is: take me back to a specific moment where you made like an important decision for the biscuit that might have not been based on common sense, but based on your values. If you can remember.
I mean, there really is only one decision to speak about, and that is the fact that when me and my co-founder went into the business full time, we decided very consciously to open school hours only. She was a mum with young kids. I was a mum with young kids. We wanted to make time for the business, but we didn't want to give it all of our time. Hence why we made the controversial decision to only open school hours.
Were there like peers or like advisors, family, other founders that advised you to do the same or said to you, oh, this might be a bad idea? Was there a lot of doubt from your circle?
My complete inner circle, no. I think at the time, no, definitely not my husband or any family members around me, but anybody that came into our business in the capacity of like a business advisor, they would frown and not understand and say, there's so many more hours in the day to be making money. Why are you not using those hours effectively?
I mean, yeah, it's tempting. I can imagine it's tempting, but it seems like you're having those values from the beginning. Or was it like something that you like having like or building a business that is family first kind of, or having like this work-life balance in it? Was this something that you had in mind initially when you started, or is it something you came up with during the time growing the business?
No, it's very, very, very much from the start. I mean, there was no other way that Lisa and I were going to run a business. We knew we wanted to be mothers. We were mothers. I feel like the respect that we have towards the job of raising children, we take that incredibly seriously. And our perspective on it, what it means to us personally. I'm not saying that this is what category makes a good mum, but that we were a home for our children, before school, after school. And that was important for us, that they were not in wraparound care for like 8-9 hours a day, because that's how I started motherhood when I was still in employment, and I dropped my kids off before I went to work, and then I picked them up when I came back from work, and the reality was that they were at the nursery for longer than I was at the office even. Do you know what I mean? So that never sat right with me. So when we got the opportunity through this business to do it in a way that would work for our families, we didn't question whether we should do that or not. We just did it.
Was there a time where it was still like kind of the classical founder grinding or like the hustling that you had, or was it like that you could build a business based on these values and also based on the working hours that you put in from the beginning? Or was it, okay, I had like this intense phase and then it like calmed a bit when we grew?
No, because I think we started this as a glorified hobby in 2016. We were both working in our day jobs in a digital marketing company, and we kind of did this on the side. It was like a side hustle, and we never thought we would build a proper business. Like, we never thought we would build any of it that we have now. It just naturally progressed that way. So we kind of always went from the point of view, let's give the time that we have. And that was in the evening after our kids were asleep, when they were, babies. or it was in the hours that they were in school when they were a little bit older. My kids are in secondary school now, so my days look completely different again. I have more time in the day because they're in school for a little bit longer. They make their way to and from school themselves, so they don't need me like an active participant in their journeys anymore like that. Lots of after school activities where I will play chauffeur, to get them there and back. But whilst they're there, I could crack open a laptop. So life has evolved. And I think the way that we've always looked at it was like they're only small for a small amount of time. And whilst they are so dependent, we want to be there. But as they grow up and we have more time uh, to spend on other things other than, effectively mothering them all the time, we can spend that time more on the business, and that's kind of how it grew.
Nice, nice to hear that it's possible to keep the balance well, like growing kids, side hustling, and then growing a business that is as successful as you did it with the Biskery. Was there like times where the approach that you have in the business, for example, also the decision you made that you want to keep it like family friendly, also for your employees, did it cost you some opportunities or like some deals or something that you look back to, not regretting it, but just like, okay, like our path could have been a different path if we would have sacrificed our values?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the reason, for instance, why we never took investment from outside of the business was because we wanted to be able to operate this under our conditions. And I think the minute you take external capital, people start putting demands on your time. So I'm pretty sure the business would look different if we had gone down that route. And I don't know if it would have been better or worse. I literally couldn't tell you. But I think our values guide us in that decision making process all the time because we don't want to give other people control over our time as such.
What has it cost you, like from an operational point of view, like having those rules, or also like setting those boundaries and having those values? How does a day look like in your bakery and also in your office?
um, what has it cost us? I think Lisa and I, my co-founder, as much as we can, we have working mums who work in the biscuitery as well, and whatever um, flexibility we give ourselves, as much as possible, we want to give it to the other working mums or, the women who work in our business as well. And so when it gets to school holiday time, or children are sick, periods, they are, they're tricky to manage, because it's a very flexible approach. And when someone falls out, or when someone who's normally in the biscuitery all of a sudden finds that they cannot make it into the biscuitery, then somebody else has to step in. But that is, kind of the village, I guess, that we're trying to create for everybody. And I think that perspective is a little bit more rigid than here are the whatever the ground rules of how this business operates, and there's no flexibility, and everybody kind of has to adhere to all of this stuff. If you operate in a way that is a little bit more lenient, you have to find solutions to problems that other businesses probably don't have to deal with, because there's like just a really rigid framework that doesn't allow to bend um, systems or day time frames, as much as we can in our business.
And was there also a moment like when it paid back in terms of, I mean, I can imagine that building this village as you described it, like gives you a lot of purpose in your work, and like also satisfaction that you are aligned with your values all the time, or like in what you're building up. Was there also something that you saw in your employees or in general that you created with the Biskery that you were like, okay, like that we have those strong values, that those strong boundaries and philosophies in our business, this actually paid off in a sense that was outside of your feeling of, okay, I'm doing great work here?
Yeah, I think everybody who was like a direct part of our team, and people who sit around it, either as ambassadors or as freelancers, I think they have a real um, a sense of gratitude, I think, for how we operate. And I think that gratitude, I don't know, it comes across in how willing the people around us are to make things work. It's not um, a super linear business in this sense. We do corporate gifting, and some seasons we peak, some seasons are quiet, and it really is a roller coaster. And so I feel our team has to live in that roller coaster as well. But I think because of the structure and the nature of the business and the flexibility and the amount of respect that everybody has for each other on the team, they are willing to go, with this flow of things that isn't always the easiest, I think.
Is there another decision that you made in the business that you're proud of, like besides of having those flexible working hours, adapting to the life of your employees?
Mm, I think this like a clear decision. Um, I think.
Or a way how you lead the business?
Mm, I don't know. There's a lot of things that come to mind in terms of. Um, I mean, they kind of all come to the same thing, but I guess it's authenticity, um, and showing the reality of things, as much as we can. The way that Lisa and I show up on LinkedIn, for instance, I guess that's how we met each other as well. Um, we try and showcase who we really are and what life is really like. Um, and and I think I am um, quite pleased with the narrative that we have, that success isn't always, or for us anyway, isn't necessarily, um, doesn't equate a number on your balance sheet. I think we have a much broader sense of what success is, and I think to operate in that reality gives me a lot of peace, confidence, and a lot more grace, I think, to understand what I believe a lot of rich people tell us anyway, like having the money isn't all that is cracked up to be. And I choose to rather take my time now, like, if you ask me what an ideal day looks like, then my ideal day starts with me taking time for myself rather than going straight into, okay, what does the business need from me? I think my days these days look like, okay, how do I serve Saskia and how do I serve my family first? And then the rest of the day I can give away to everybody else who needs me. But those first hours in the day are mine and they're incredibly precious. And I don't want to give um, that energy of mine away too quickly anymore. And I think in the past I would be more um, I would be more inclined to do so because I thought that was what what business needed to do. It needed all of my time, from the point of opening my eyes. But yeah, I don't do that anymore.
What does such a good day for you look like? When you say the mornings are for you, what does such a morning look like, and what are the first things you do at work usually?
A good day. Yeah, wake up, see my kids in the morning. They're pretty self-sufficient, so they rummage around and do what they need to do, and then they get out of the door around 8 o'clock. And I either drive them or my neighbor drive them, but we take it in turns every week. And then I will make a coffee for me and my partner, sit down and just have a minute. And then these days, which is new, I didn't always used to do this. I will go and take a walk, maybe listen to a podcast or just listen to my own thoughts. And then I'll come home, work in my house a little bit, laundry and all of that stuff. And then after that, I crack open my laptop and I I work with a little notebook where I know for the month everything that kind of needs to be done, and then I separate that out into, okay, what can I achieve of that this day, and then I go about my business of ticking boxes of what it is that I need to do, and then I kind of get to my email at around 11 o'clock, and then I see whatever the other part of the people who need me want me to do, kind of, yeah.
Sounds quite amazing, especially the part that until 11 o'clock you're doing proactive work instead of being reactive when it comes to emails and all the notifications, I assume.
Yeah.
What would you say, or what would you tell the younger Saskia if she would start a new business today? What would you tell her?
Oh, I think I would tell her, yes, you need to have knowledge, but it's not all about what you know. It's very much also about who you know. So spend time talking to people. I think that was one of the biggest unlocks that I discovered on this journey.
And when you think a second about the Saskia in 20 years, what would she say to you right now in your current business stage or in your current life stage? What do you think?
Ah, oh, she's old. um, hmm, what would she say? I hope she would say, um, you did well. You were considerate. Um, you were building something that was worth taking your time for, um, and the avenues you chose were purposeful, not in vain, and were necessary for the world. And I think that sounds lofty, but um, I think the world needs people who are considerate, and who are not greedy, and who are willing to take the time and play, um, what I quoted from Naval Ravikant. Actually, it's not mine, but play long-term games with long-term people. I think quick wins is a shallow way to live, and I like the way that I'm playing long-term games that are sustainable and maybe not scalable to 10x, but that are, I think, an example of what good living looks like.
Nice. Seems like the Saskia from the future knows that you're on the right path already.
Yeah, I hope so.
For last 2 minutes, I brought some fast questions for you, some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
The rules are simple: as spontaneous as possible, as fast as possible. One word or one sentence.
Okay.
Also more if you need, but
Okay.
okay, are you ready for them?
Yeah.
I just check how many there are. There are 9 fast questions.
Okay.
All right. Um, the first one is a question I ask every founder in the interviews or in the podcast. The first one is, if you had to start a biscuit again with only 500 euros, what's the first thing you spend it on?
Okay. Website. Oh my God. Insurance. Insurance and website. Yeah, insurance and website.
How many hours do you work per week usually?
40?
Something that every founder pretends to enjoy but secretly hates.
Email?
Good that you started at 11 o'clock only. One brand you'd love to make biscuits for next.
Oh. Hmm. Oh my God, I'm not good at this game. Brand I would love to make biscuits for. Uh, um, I am not really a brand person. I mean, I wouldn't have mind to make and oh God, I don't know. This is ridiculous. Um,
You're open for every brand. Maybe
yeah,
that's
I
a.
am. I am open for every brand. I don't have a strong affinity with one brand. Maybe bold beans. Yeah, I think she does a pretty good job.
If you could automate one part of your founder job, which one would it be?
Hmm. Unsubscribe from spam. Yeah, instantly.
And complete the sentence. A company is only as good as its.
A company is only as good as the company it holds.
And the last one, and it's also related to the question I already asked you. But if you could send a biscuit to your younger self, what would the message say?
You are enough.
Great, Saskia. That's it. That were the questions. Actually, only 8. I promised 9, but it was 8 questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.